Hey there, welcome to the House Music Connection podcast. I'm your host, Tony Fuel. Each week, I have a conversation with a different artist where we discuss personal stories, challenges, successes, production process, and more. Ultimately, the goal is for all of us to feel a greater sense of connection to the house music community and to one another. So let's get right into the conversation. Welcome to the podcast. So for listeners, we are talking with Col Lawton. Actually, I've heard people pronounce it Cole, and some people say Col. Is it short for like Colin? And like, how do you pronounce your name?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, anyone in America struggles with this Col Lawton. So it is short for Colin,
Colin.
but Col. But quite a lot of people call me Cole in America, which I find quite cool, if I'm honest.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Colin. All right.
Yeah, only my mom calls me Colin, my mother.
Like my name is Anthony, and I don't even respond to it when somebody
Yeah,
calls me that.
You understand.
Yeah, I know it's like a bill collector or like or the hospital if they call me Anthony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. So to start things off, why don't you just introduce yourself and give a little background?
Yes, Col Lawton. I am based in the UK, Newcastle upon Tyne, the northeast of the beautiful England. Yeah, I'm a DJ producer. Been around since 2001 with DJing, producing since 2017. And yeah, I'm kind of just doing my own thing with music and floating around, and I managed to get myself across the pond to America last year, which was amazing. Yeah, I don't know really what else you would like to know, but I'm sure you're going to find out.
Very cool. So let's see. So you said 2017 is when you started making music, and you've been doing pretty much deep house that whole time. Is that right?
I do, yeah. I've been kind of. I started with Deep House in 2017. I kind of started trying to make music in 2014 with a friend, and it was a bit complicated, to be honest, because I'm not sort of like qualified from college or degree level, and my friend was. So he kind of like terrified me, showed me how to use Ableton, and I was like, "What the hell? What does this do? I don't know." So it kind of scared me for a bit. So when I did pick it up myself in 2017, I kind of taught myself my way, how to do it, and I sort of slipped into making deep house at the start. But I love all different genres, making music. I try not to put myself in a box when it comes to making tracks.
Right. So do you venture too far from the house realm, or do you like make breakbeat or any bass music or anything?
Probably the only biggest direction is more the chilled house stuff that I like to make. But then I've kind of found making funky and disco stuff just as fun. I just like challenging myself in the studio. I think I kind of have this thing where I don't really start to make a certain sound and just see where it ends up at the end of the process and enjoy it along the way.
Yeah, for sure. So going back to 2001, did you
Yeah.
start DJing house music right away as well, or you said you like multiple genres? So were you kind of more
Okay.
of a versatile open format DJ back then when you started?
Late starter for me. I kind of my 90s for me. I used to be a footballer, like professional footballer from school. So I left school and went off to play football, and for like 5-6 years, that career was fantastic. And then things changed and injuries, and I ended up coming home, and I discovered house music in the northeast where I was from, in Newcastle, going out clubbing with friends and stuff. And obviously seeing people playing this amazing music, kind of, and all my friends who I was with at the time could DJ. So when I used to go back to parties, they're on the decks, and I'm sitting there thinking, "What the hell is this? How do I learn that? Who are these people playing this?" So I've kind of like taught myself through friends, and I kind of like my influences around that time were very much what my friends were playing, and people that were coming to the clubs where I was from. And then there was a big moment in probably 2002-3 where I discovered Miguel Miggs and Naked Music and the Mark Farinas and the Chicago House. See, like my ears got opened up to so many different sounds from like a record shop that was in the northeast, and that's where all, I'll probably call it the obsession, began. with music. Yeah. So I've never really been open format. I've always kept myself to house scene. You know, if someone was booking me, you're booking me because I'm going to play house music. I'm not that person that does the R&B and the other kind of stuff. I've tried to be a house DJ from the start and hopefully till the end, whenever that is.
Cool. Yeah. I think a lot of us have similar backgrounds. We're about that around this age. Yeah. So.
Yeah. What this age of 21? I know you're about 21 years old, Tony. Same age as me.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yep. And I have a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've let's just get started kind of with like the last several years. Like you have a lot of output. If anyone knows, Col Lawton, they're gonna see your catalog on Track Source and they're gonna be like,
Yeah.
wow, that guy has like a lot of output. How are you able to manage making so many tracks? Do you have a particular workflow that helps you like streamline your process? Do you have like a team, or do you like kind of outsource the mixed engineering part of it?
All me. All me, no team, just me in this cave, which I'm in right now, which didn't exist really until maybe 2 years ago. So a lot of music was made in the kitchen and through there on the table with me missus going demented with the music playing. I think when I first started to learn to produce, I kind of looked into workflow and patterns. You know, I'm quite like a how can I say? I'm like a puzzle maker. I see music as putting the puzzle together when you're building a track. That's kind of how I look at it in my head. So what I do a lot, which I've taught quite a lot of people, is that I start maybe like 10, 15 different puzzles at once. And then as I go along the month, like if I'm working away and if I'm doing stuff, I'll add a little bit more to that puzzle. If I have 30 minutes, I'll come in the studio and I'll add a little bit more to another puzzle. So by the time the month end comes, I might spend a weekend where I finish 4 or 5 tracks all in one go because the puzzle's nearly complete. So I'm always sort of like working that flow of different ideas. I don't get stuck on one track because I'm always got another one which I'm adding to. Or if I hear a sound which I think that'll fit in that one, that'll go on that one. So I'm kind of like a bit crazy with like loads of projects going, but eventually they all come together and it's like, oh, okay, I've got 5, 6 tracks done. Amazing. I'll get them signed. And that's kind of like what I've been doing for the last few years, to be honest. And it's like I've never changed the format. It works for me.
Yeah, nice. So I guess so all of your skills have been self-taught for the most part. I mean, you mentioned working with kind of getting started with some friends, but mostly for the most part it's kind of self-taught.
Yeah. 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 And do you know what I mean? I'm always reaching out to musicians, like Sensei, for instance, who I'm good friends with. Like, hey, like, I need musicians like that to come and join my team when I'm making music, or a singer. I need someone to sing. I mean, I think that music's about that, like it's about bringing other people into your puzzle. Like, I need to add more people in, and I'm always collaborating. I'm always reaching out. I'm always trying to help people because I still have that format of house music community. We all sit together, we all make music together, you know what I mean? We all club together, we all make music together. So that's kind of like part of the formula, as well as making sure I've got the right people helping us finish tracks or be part of it as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. So let's see. You work with Wes sometimes, right?
Yes.
So I guess when you guys partner, like what are your different roles on the tracks?
So we're talking DeepFix, Wes BK. Yeah, so we have a good combination, me and Wes. So Wes has a really different sound compared to my sound. But when we join it together, something quite crazy happens, and these crazy songs appear and do well. We call him Wonky Wes, and I'm Smooth Col. So when you put a wonk and a bit of smooth together, you get some sort of formula that turns into a great track. But Wes is a fantastic producer. Like he is another person who terrifies me because he's trained in music and he's a brilliant. But again, that's another piece of formula I need for my music. So again, it's somebody who I have close to me who I know can help us, can give us advice, can help us finish a track, can add something to it that I can't. So, again, it's that whole formula of having good people around you.
Right. Totally. So you're busy with music production. You also have a work and a family life. What is your day job?
So I work for a company called the Hepatitis C Trust, which is a charity in England. So I can like manage a really big area. So I travel around a lot. And I don't know if you know it, in England we're trying to eradicate Hep C from the country. So I'm part of this big team that have been working on this for like the last 5-6 years, trying to eradicate this virus. So it's a wonderful job. Like, you know what I mean? I get the freedom to do quite a lot of stuff with music, and I got good support from who I work with and all the rest of it. So I'm really lucky as well. And I've got an amazing wife and son who completely understand this as well and give us time to do this stuff as well. So yeah, and you know, it's like juggling family and work, and you know, this is like a bonus. Everything I get to do here. So kind of whatever comes from music, I try and feed it back into the family if it's holidays or it's doing something nice with any money that we make. You know what I mean? It's like it goes back to where it should go. People will love you.
Yeah, for sure. So do you have any wisdom to share on how to make it to manage the work and family responsibilities while also making time for music?
Yeah, I have a really good wife.
Probably a lot of communication between you and your partner. Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot, honestly. For traveling, my son's 10 now, so school and picking up in the car and driving and, you know, finding time to do stuff. I think what has happened, though, is it's kind of, I've reduced going out like you used to, you know what I mean, like in the scene because of family. So my scene's in here now, which I think has a bit of an impact on like bookings and stuff, because when you're not out actively out with the promoters and seeing everybody, it kind of like takes away a little bit of your opportunities to be able to get booked, which is it's a fine sacrifice because I'd rather be, you know, I mean, doing this time here and making it right with my family and stuff. So that's always a little bit of a juggling thing. That's a bit of an issue at times.
Well, and you know, it's interesting that you mentioned that because I'm kind of in the same boat, and I used to host parties and be a little bit more
Yeah,
visible in the scene, and then I'm just like,
yeah,
wait, I'd rather just be at home. I mean, it's a 90-minute
yeah.
drive from my house to, you know, Minneapolis, where any of the
Mm-hmm.
scene is, and I just kind of like, you know what, I don't know what I'm doing in my bedroom or my studio is more important, I believe, and also
Yeah,
whatever's happening in the house is more important
yeah,
than the
yeah,
parties and the party scene and whatnot. And I just I don't feel like me showing up for the local scene is really, I don't know. It's kind of a trade off. Now, if I could do it all, I would participate
yeah,
more in the local scene. But you know, from a operational or, you know, a
yeah,
strategic perspective, I have to like, you know, strategize my time and like how I spend that
yeah,
and everything. And I think that, you know, the way that you know, by making music and doing what we do globally, you know, is going to be more important and more better, you know, better for our, you know, our music or artistry, if you will, if
yeah,
we just focus on that rather than the local scene. So yeah.
yeah. I agree,
Yeah.
definitely.
So, what have been some of your toughest challenges as an artist?
Yeah. I think toughest challenges is one, getting booked as an artist is really hard, especially if you don't have an agent. You haven't got all these big teams around you. I mean, like the slog on Facebook and socials is a new level now for people like myself and yourself as well to promote yourself. So I think that the biggest challenge is that self promotion, like of everything that you're trying to do in a really like booming place of house music, because there's so much music. But then for your track to stand out or your mix to stand out from someone else's, it's a near impossibility. But I think the way around is you don't try to compete with anybody. You just keep doing your thing and really and enjoy what you're doing. Like, and I think that is a challenge in itself as well. Like, I'm bad for this. When I'm in this cave, you can get lost in the negativity of no one's listening or no one gives you crap about your music and stuff. And then all of a sudden, someone puts a nice post up about one of your tracks, and you remember that this is just a bubble I'm sitting in here. You forget about the bigger world that everybody's listening, and you never know what's around the corner, do you? So I think that's kind of like one of them things of trying to stay positive in a difficult place with music. It's quite hard. It's quite hard. But you know, I think you just gotta stick. I have this special person here, which is a positive potato. Everybody needs a positive potato in your life.
Oh,
Just so
hey,
you know.
I'll go.
That
I'll
keeps you
get one.
right.
It's part of your
Staying
merch,
positive.
yeah. The Col Lawton store, yeah. Get a positive potato at the Col
Positive
Lawton store.
potatoes. That's all you get.
Okay.
Big cheese on top.
No t-shirts or hats, just a positive potato. Yeah.
It's a positive potato.
Yeah. So, do you actively work on your mindset? Like through reading or listening to, I don't know, certain podcasts or whatever, or is it just kind of like, do you already have like that sense of optimism anyway?
Yeah, I'm quite a positive person, really. I kind of like latch on to anything that good happens, or if something good comes about. So, for instance, if someone books me, I don't know, and it's like 6 months down the line or whatever, that's me happy for 6 months. I know I've got a gig coming up. You know what I mean? It's not 100 gigs coming up, but just one's enough. Like thinking, oh, that's just a good thing to hold on to. Like you've got something good, or put music. If you know you've got a good release coming up, it's again that whole thing. I've got something good coming. I think that's the kind of trick with music. You just gotta keep remembering. There's always something. The revolving door of music. There's always something coming next. If you put the effort in and you try, and good things should really come to you eventually.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Anyway.
I love it. Cool.
Mm.
All right, so let's go back a little bit to maybe 2001. So, how did you actually discover house music in the first place? I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but how did you discover house music?
So I'm obsessed with the '80s music, by the way. Just so you know, like '80s, like I just love all the inspiration of '80s. But then I grew up in the '90s as well, which is the pop era in England. So the Brit pop. Again, loved all that kind of stuff. Because I played football, there wasn't much clubbing and going out from the age of 16 up until I was 20. So by the time 20 come and I started going out with friends, I was taken to a club called the Shindig in Newcastle, which is a proper club for clubbing. And I've never really properly been to a club for clubbing. And the change from hearing the music I was used to hearing when I used to play football and not really go clubbing, to then hearing the sound in a club of proper house music was just a magical shift for my brain to actually like connect to something. That whole spiritual feeling, and you find it, and all of a sudden, I mean, that Shindig club, I think I went every Saturday for the next 5 6 years, never missed it. Always in the same corner, seeing all the DJs, listening to all the music, got addicted to it, loved all the sounds. You know what I mean? Started following people, started finding DJs I liked who played, started copying how they DJ. Like I DJ very similar to Mark Farina. I watch Mark Farina videos over and over and over, watching him play. Same as Miguel Miggs. So you kind of like you find it, don't you? You just find what you like of that house music. And it's never changed. It's never changed since all that time. And all the influences into my music comes from that. Like everything I make kind of comes from everything that I've always enjoyed. I mean, like if I listen to some '80s music I listen to now, most of them have saxophones on it, and most music I play has saxophones on it. And Wes always takes the mick out of me saying, "You put saxophones on all your tracks," and I know why, because I listen to saxophone in '80s music all the time. So you know what I mean? It flows through, doesn't it? Your influences.
It's all from Careless Whisperers, right?
How did you know?
Yeah. So, and Kenny G was like really popular at that time too. So.
Yeah, man. Hey,
Yeah. So,
oh.
have you worked with Dave Shoreland?
I have, yes, actually, I have worked with Dave. It was a few years ago, actually. Dave, I think one of the tracks got on one of the Nervous labels, I think, and Dave did the saxophone for us. Yeah, that was one of the first people I hunted out for a saxophone player, like, back when I was kind of like looking for ideas. So yeah, man, amazing. I find it amazing. Anyone that plays instruments, I'm blown away by watching people play guitar. I mean, watching people play the keys, piano. It's just like, wow, man, so talented.
Yeah, for sure. So before picking up, picking up Ableton Live or whatever DAW you're using, did you have a musical background at all? Were you in like band in like secondary school or anything like that?
My mum will say he used to play the keyboard over and over again when I was a kid, and that was about it. But I tried the violin and I tried different instruments as a kid. But I was the kid who used to have his pocket money on a Saturday morning, and I'll be down the record shop at 10 buying the record or buying the latest song and going home and listening to it over and over again. And I have an older sister. She's 10 years older than me. So I grew up listening to what she was listening to when she was dancing around in the bedroom with a hairdryer, and I'm sitting here what she's listening to, which was the 80s music, by the way. That's probably where this comes from. So I was influenced a lot in the house around music, and I've always had an obsession around songs with lyrics, really listening to the song and understanding it. That's always been in us since a kid. And I think the football thing kind of like was a bit of a block from music for a bit because I thought football was the thing, and then when that ended, music kind of came back into my life, and that's where it all started really.
Yeah. Do you feel like house music since that time has kind of helped you navigate through life?
Oh, mate, loads of times. I quit music a few years back when my dad passed away. My dad died of cancer. It was like a really tough time. His son was born and he was really poorly. There was like a stage where it was like, when you have one of them stages in your life where you have a number of years where things just don't go right and it's a bit of a dark place, and there was no music in my life and it was a bit, and then I started again in 2017, and that's when I made a decision to say, if I'm going to do this again, I want to do this as an artist. I want to learn how to make music. I can mix a track together and beat match and do all the tricks and all that, but actually I want to like express myself, how to make tracks. And I think that came from that dark period, because the music after that for the next 6-7 years has really helped me mental health wise and my own way of expressing myself as a person, because I've never really been great at expressing how I feel, but through music 100% I can express exactly how I'm feeling through making music, which is a blessing. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So that's cool that, yeah, I think a lot of us have that story, a similar stories where we've gone through this period of like dark times, and music. It could be any music for for different people or whatever, but for especially for those of us who like house music and are in love with house music, we
yeah,
we definitely have those times where just house music brings us back to
yeah.
a good
And
place.
it's different, isn't it, from listening to the track, but then actually understanding the track. Jesse Saunders taught me that when I started working with Jesse. He used to ask me questions of saying, what does the track mean? Where's it come from? What's the story? And I love that, because that meant he understood exactly what I understood around when you make a song, you're making it because it means something, even if it's a happy thing or it has a reason why you've put it together. And I've always had that as kind of like as a blueprint now. I've got to have something that's a meaning, has to have a reason.
Yeah. So let's see. You've done some vocal tracks. Do you write the lyrics?
No, I wish I could, but I try. I find people who are very good at writing lyrics. So I've worked with kind of Lisa from Glass Slipper. Amazing. I mean, like her writing skills are fantastic. Um, Jesse Saunders introduced me to Angelala, who is from New York, I believe. Sorry if I've got that wrong. But again, Angela, fantastic songwriter. Oh, amazing. And I've worked with a number of people. I'm kind of like just working with this Becca Ward from England. I was working with somebody who was kind of like writing music for us for a little while, but he kind of like disappeared for a bit. And that was interesting, actually working with someone who writes lyrics and then gives it to an artist for them to sing. But yeah, I've kind of just go through stages of just following, trying stuff, find people, see what people can come up with, be inspirational. I wish I could sing, mind. By God.
Yeah. Oh, I can sing, but just a part of a choir and with a bunch of
Oh,
voices drowning me out. Yeah.
I'm going to be sampling your voice later.
No, I'm a bass. Can you tell? Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. You also have a label that you
Yes.
run or co-run with Wes, right? And so, how did you get to a point where you wanted to start a label?
Yeah, so that was never in my plans of music to run a label. I mean, like it's hard enough learning how to write music than learn how to run a label. So when I kind of bumped into Wes, who was very local to me, he's literally a couple of streets down, he's not far from where I live. It was quite nice to find somebody who was from the same area with the same passion. He had an ambition to kind of start a label. Wes has been in bands, he's kind of like managed that kind of stuff. He understands how to set up a label. My only thing was kind of like, I want to be a label that kind of helps people. I want to be a label that helps new producers. We want to be a label that kind of like gives advice and helps people fix the tracks, hence DeepFix. So it's always about, if you send us a track, we'll say yes or no, but actually if it's a yes, we might ask you to fix a few things or try this, or do you want a singer to sing on it? We have this contact. So we always use DeepFix as kind of like a platform for like helping other artists to meet other artists, because I'm really strong on that. Like whatever we do in music, we should be working together. So like what we do at the minute is that if you send us an EP, our job is we'll get a couple of remixes from some of our DeepFix producers, again, to kind of like bring producers together, to start working together a little bit more. And it's just grown from that. It's gone strength to strength, to be honest. Like, I mean, we've got publishing in place. We just went to ADE. You had a showcase last year for the first time, which was brilliant. And we've got plans about possibly going to America later this year, doing a tour, so which we're in like conversations with at the minute. So yeah, that was never in my plans. So it's been a nice extra bit of work to have to do on top of everything else. But yeah, I'm learning, mine. Don't get me wrong, I'm learning as well from Wes, especially at the back end of labels. I don't think people realise how much goes on behind the scene for like publishing, distribution, getting things set up, paying royalties, statements. There's so much more than just putting a song out.
Yeah. Yeah, that conversation kind of comes up. I mean, not with just like DeepFix, but I mean, just like in general, like the conversation kind of comes up, like where labels aren't paying and stuff like that. And it's just like, or because the artist isn't like meeting a certain minimum or whatever, and it's just like, like I don't know. I feel like there's most of the people that we work with in labels, they're not necessarily like wanting to like not pay. It's just that it's the either you haven't made enough money or it's just that there's so much administrative overhead that I don't know, it's just it's a lot of work, like you said.
It is. You're running your label on a loss, especially if you're kind of like establishing your label correctly through the right sort of tax ways and everything, you know what I mean? And then mastering and all the other things that come with obviously putting music out. It can be quite expensive if you don't do it right.
So I guess what is the upside then for a label owner such as yourself to keep running the label, keep growing it?
We run it. We run a good label because we're quite lucky that Wes Masters, he's qualified engineer, so it keeps our costs down when it comes to kind of like having to do that side of thing, which is a big thing. We pitch good music to sort of like the Spotify's and editorials. We get a nice little return, and our label people get paid correctly. And we're in this place of like sync deal. Like we're with Paradise Distribution and Publishing, and we have our heart set on one day one of our artists getting a sync deal. It'll be amazing if we could just share that with one person and get, I don't know, a BMW advert or something, just to kind of like get that big check payout. We're gonna all buy a yacht and sail away together. So we're living in like fantasy world of like, one day, lads, we'll have a boat. But that's what we hope for. It happens. Yeah, it happens. It happens to it happens to other people. Why can't it happen to us? But I think that the beauty of DeepFix is that if that did happen, we have all our ducks in a row to make sure that was done correctly. You know what I mean? That's the important bit. Where things have happened to me in the past with some labels where one of my tracks is blown up on a editorial and it's made a couple of million streams. Getting that payment off that label, if they don't know how to pay you correctly and they've never had this before, it's a lottery if you get paid or not. It really is a lottery.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
For sure. I mean, and I've discussed with other artists, you probably listen to some of those episodes where we kind of talk about like, we're all on this for the love of it, of course. I mean, but yeah, it is nice to get paid. It is nice to be able to get something back from all the investments that we've made as artists into plugins and subscriptions to roll in cloud or whatever it is, so yeah, for sure. Follow-up question, why a BMW and not an Audi?
Oh, I'll take the Audi if the same deal comes in, that's fine. Just a really long yacht, so I could just park it in Ibiza.
Nice. So let's see. You also started a live stream series kind of like during the pandemic. Is that still going?
Yeah. Is this for the DeepFix radio show that we do? Because we all kind of did a bit of live streaming ourselves, didn't we? I did a few bits and bobs. But if we're talking about DeepFix Presents House Music Matters, which is our radio show, we never stopped doing that for the last probably 5 years now on a Thursday night, and it's live on Twitch every Thursday. We've really upscaled that a lot because we see a lot of benefit in doing more radio live streams with the label than anything else. Because like putting nights on, we've tried putting nights on the clubs, and it's just a slog. Not enough footfall, costs a lot of money, doesn't really benefit the label. So what we try and do with the live stream is that we bring on guests every week. So we promote, DJs, new DJs, or anyone that's a label. We play all the new music from DeepFix on there. And it's a 2-hour show, and we're playing brand new promos. So we're promoting other labels at the same time and artists. So we see the DeepFix show as that extra add-on from the label of like, we're literally shoving new music down everybody's throats, saying, look at all this new music that's out right now, go and buy it, everybody. And it's popular, like we have regulars that come in and tune in every Thursday, which is fantastic. And we love it. It's like house music therapy on a Thursday. It's brilliant. And you get to hang out with your mates for a couple of hours and play music and have a laugh on live stream.
So do you have other like DJ friends from like London and other like areas within the UK coming to Newcastle?
Yeah, we've had people come up to the studio. I think we've got someone coming from Birmingham quite soon coming up. We've took it on the road. We've took the show. I mean, when I played Seattle, we streamed it all live for DeepFix when I was in Seattle last year. That was fantastic. So the kind of wherever we go, we have like a roadcaster, and everything's kind of like perfect to take it to a bar. Where we used to do a little sort of live nights in Newcastle and some of the bars. We used to do like a live show, which I think we might do again in the summer. So it's quite versatile as a project. It's nice to kind of be able to just ups and take it somewhere and plug it in and go live. It's good.
Yeah, very cool. Are there any upcoming projects that you're excited about that you'd like to share with listeners? Like maybe some big things?
Yeah, I do. Is like since Christmas, me and Mr. Sensei, who I know you've had on the show recently, we have put our heads together and decided to make a lot of music. And we've made some absolutely great tracks, but we have finished a really, really good track just literally days ago called Games. And it's like, when you kind of have a dream scenario sound and track in your head that you're always trying to make, I think we've made something that I would be very, very proud of. And I mean, Sensei piano and keys and how he plays on this song is just so good, man. I'm in awe of the man when he kind of gets behind the keyboard. So that kind of stuff, anything that where I'm making something that's meaningful and beautiful, it's going to be memorable. Yes, I've just been in the studio basically since January. I live here. I've got a bed just here, believe it or not.
A little pull out trundle out of your desk.
It's still be a doghouse as well, if I get wrong.
Yeah.
I live here.
Yeah. So are you going to come back to the States anytime?
So there's been a conversation just this weekend actually around myself, Sensei, Wes, and DeepFix possibly heading back to Seattle in September. I'm just waiting for it all to get confirmed. But I think what we're trying to do, me and Wes and Brian, who helps manage the label, we're going to try and tap into some more friends and people and promoters we met last year to try and build a little bit of a tour this time, which is really hard again because we're all doing this completely in the dark with just ourselves, with no agency, no help, but just using friends, people who we trust to try and help us find the way, how to do it.
Yeah. Let's stay on the call after we stop recording, and I'll mention some names of people you might want to contact. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You probably already know them, but we'll see.
All helps. Like that's we're just trying to look at all options that we're going to look at.
Cool.
We see it as we're making memories when we do this kind of stuff. We just want to make some memories and have some fun with it.
Yeah. So is there anything about, I don't know, house music or artistry or the label that you want listeners to know about as far as like, I don't know, kind of a central message or, a main takeaway from this conversation?
It's a very good question. I was once really worried about making music. And again, this is down to Mr. Jesse Saunders. He contacted us and asked us to do a remix of one of his very first tracks, which was like, wow, this is like one of the very first house tracks ever written. And he's asking me to remix it. And I'm not going to lie, it was the most nervous I've ever been around making the song. And I remember messaging him and having some FaceTime saying, I'm Mr. Sampler here, I'm not playing keys, I'm just working with what I've got. And the advice he gave was doesn't matter how you make music as long as you make it well. And I loved that when he said that. He gave us so much more confidence in yourself to kind of like not worry about what DAW you're working, what keyboard you've got, what drum machine or what equipment. I mean, I see people with all this equipment and stuff, and most of the time they don't use it. But as long as you're making something your way and you're doing it well and you're enjoying it, that's good enough. I think that's advice for most people out there who's doing this music slog. There's a lot of people on this journey who are very similar to myself and yourself, is that don't get lost in the technology and thinking you've got to know everything. It's impossible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know, some of us get trapped into or fall into the trap of getting, this new plugin a week or whatever. And the thing is, like, I worked out of the box for so long. I mean, I didn't buy anything. All I did was use stock plugins and stock instruments. Yeah. And now that I have more stuff or more, VSTs, I feel like there's like too much almost. Like I felt like I was more creative when I had fewer things to work with. I don't know.
And that's what I was like years ago when I seen my friend. He had too much stuff, and it just destroyed my head of worrying about this. It's too complicated. But actually starting from nothing and slowly adding, I'm still like 6-7 years in, and I'm still just adding little things every now and then. Something else I learn. Just don't want to like overload. My brain can't take it. It's too much.
I mean, for a long time, like I used the Roland cloud, VSTs or whatever. Then I stopped my subscription because I found that myself going back to like the same 2 or 3 plugins like VSTs, and that was it. And so I just got my lifetime membership for those, and then I saw like this half off sale for Arturia, like the bundle or whatever, the Arturia Labs or whatever, it was like half off, and then I got that, and I was like, okay, this is too much, like. I can't do this. Yeah. Too much information, too much sensory overload. Yeah. So yeah.
Give me just two simple 1210 vinyl. That's how easy we need to make it.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though this really gets too much technology. Again, decks and just give me 2 vinyl.
For sure. Yeah, cool. All right. Well, so I don't really have any other questions in mind. I think that this has kind of flowed really well. I really appreciate the conversation. Is there anything else that you want to talk about or bring up?
Nothing really. Just a case of people following us really and supporting my music. I've got a website out there which is www.collawton.com, which I've set up, which has all my music and how you book us on there and all the rest of it. So same as everyone else, all the socials and the Facebooks and all the rest of it, you find us on all that.
Sure. I'll be sure to include the links in the show notes and the description too. So yeah, it'll be easy for people to connect with you from the podcast episode. So yeah.
No worries.
Cool. All right.
And what I would say is reach out, people to reach out. I love helping people. I mean, I do that at my day job every day. And I say this all the time, like a lot of people contact us, send us the music, ask us to listen to it, and I'll reply. I'll have FaceTime, I'll have conversations. I'm really open to kind of like sharing knowledge and wanting to help people. So I would love to have that message out there if anyone ever wants to have a hand or help or ask questions about, I don't know, mental health and the craziness of music or whatever. Just reach out, man. Reach out.
That's awesome. That's a very kind gesture. So yeah, much appreciated by myself and the community, I'm sure. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Hey friend, I hope you enjoyed this conversation. You know, as producers today, it can be really overwhelming to keep up with all the tasks that we need to complete. So I've created a free toolkit that can help you. Call it my release roadmap. This tool helps you to gain clarity on all of your tasks related to music production, demos, releases, and social media so that you can spend more mental energy on making music. Learn more about this free roadmap by visiting tonyfuel.com/roadmap or click the link in the description below. Again, that link is tonyfuel.com/roadmap. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.